I'm a B2 in German. My friend is an A2. And last year in Berlin, I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me whole. We were at a tech networking event, and an investor, a native German speaker, turns around, says something about the market. Simple stuff. I froze. My B2 brain started searching through files. Perfect grammar, the perfect financial term, the right adjective ending. Before I could build the perfect sentence, my A2 friend, the guy who still messes up basic verb conjugations, just looks at the man and says something. And the native's eyes lit up. He laughed. He leaned in. A real conversation sparked right there. Then I tried to jump in. I said my perfect sentence, and you could feel the air just deflate. A polite nod. The energy vanished. The native turned back to my friend, and they kept talking. I was invisible, ghosted in my own conversation. How? How could his broken A2 German build a business connection while my correct B2 German killed it? I was so angry, so jealous. It didn't make sense. My official Goethe Institute certification proved I was better, but the real world, the world of opportunities, proved I was a failure. For months, that moment haunted me, until I realized the truth. He wasn't using better German. He was using a better system. A system of communication frameworks that lets you bypass years of academic study and create instant, high-value connections. Today, I'm giving you that system. 6 frameworks. By the end of this video, an A2 speaker will be able to outtalk a C1. Forget everything you learned about studying. This is about communication. Let's start with what my friend did in that line. The investor said, "This new project management software is so complex." My brilliant B2 response? I agree. Good software is important. The conversation was dead. He said yes and turned his head. Then my friend jumped in. He used the first framework, the 3-2-1 framework. He said, "The one thing I love about new software is the efficiency game. There are 2 types of users, the ones who fight it and the ones who master it. First, you struggle. Next, you find the shortcuts. And finally, you double your productivity." Boom! The native speaker lit up. Why? Because my friend didn't just state a fact. He gave him hooks. He opened doors. This is the 3-2-1 framework. It's for thinking on your feet. One thing. State a core idea. 2 types. Create a comparison. 3 steps. Describe a process. You can do this with anything, but what if the conversation never even starts? What if you're too scared to even open your mouth? You're in a co-working space. You overhear a CEO speaking fluent German on a client call. Your heart pounds. This is your chance. But what do you say? Hi, I'm learning your language. Can we talk? No, it's awkward. It's weird. You freeze. The opportunity vanishes. You spend the rest of the day daydreaming about the conversation you could have had. How do you fix this? You invent a reason to talk. You use the W5 framework. Who, what, where, when, why. You walk up and say in his native language, "Excuse me, you look exactly like a tech founder I follow on LinkedIn." This is your what, your invented reason. It's a lie, but it's a bridge. Now you explain your why. Why I thought it was you is the confident way you speak. He has that same energy. They answer, "Amazing. Who do you work with here? Where was your office before this? When did you discover this place?" See what happened? It's not an interrogation, but a cheat code. You created a natural entry point out of thin air. You're not a weirdo anymore. You're a curious person. And now you're in a conversation. So you've started the conversation. It's going well. The native speaker mentions something briefly, investing, and you're fascinated by it. You want to jump in to really talk about it, but your brain goes blank. How do you form a deep thought with limited words? You use the IBE framework. I believe, because, example. You jump in. I believe investing in index funds is the smartest move for most people. You justify it, because it minimizes risk through diversification. You prove it. For example, my own portfolio has seen consistent 8% returns, even in volatile markets. In 10 seconds, you just shared a structured, compelling opinion. You didn't just say, "I like investing." You showed them how you think. You've gone from learner to peer. And this is where it gets dangerous, because you're doing so well, the native speaker gets comfortable. They forget you're a learner. They trust you, so they share something personal, an embarrassing story that happened to them yesterday. This is the moment of truth. 99% of learners will say, "Oh, that's funny," or "That's too bad," and the connection shatters. You just put up a wall. But you will use the change framework. It's for mirroring vulnerability. Before, event, after. They tell their story. You listen, and then you share one back. That reminds me of my first sales presentation. Before, I only used data and logic. The event was my first time adding a personal story. I was terrified they'd think it was unprofessional. But after, I closed the biggest deal of the quarter. You didn't just respond. You connected. You shared a piece of yourself. You made them feel heard. At this point, they've completely forgotten you're not a native speaker. And that leads to the next problem, the curse of success. They start talking to you like a real native, fast, with slang, a strong accent, and you are completely lost. They finish their sentence waiting for your reply. The silence is deafening. All you heard was one word: marketing. Panic. What do? You want to say, "Can you say that more slowly?" But if you do that, the illusion is broken. You're instantly demoted back to student. The magic is gone. So what's the move? You grab that one word you understood, and you use the first, next, finally framework to rescue yourself. You take a breath and say, "Speaking of marketing, the first time I ran an ad campaign, I had no idea about targeting. Next, I wasted over $1,000 on the wrong audience. Finally, I learned about customer avatars, and now our ads have a 5 times return on investment." Did you see the genius of that? You didn't admit you were lost. You took control. You pivoted. You told a funny, relatable story. You bought your brain time to catch up, and you kept the flow alive. This is the difference between an amateur and a pro. But even pro conversations can die. You've been talking for an hour. You've used all the frameworks, but you feel it. The energy is dipping. The topics are running out. The awkward silence is about to creep in and kill everything you've worked for. You need a lifeline. One last tool to make the conversation immortal. This is the past, present, future framework. You don't let the conversation end. You give it 3 new directions to go. You feel the lull, so you say, "It's funny how things change. In the past, I thought a stable career was all that mattered. Presently, I'm learning everything I can about AI and automation. And in the future, I'm thinking of starting my own online business next year." You just handed them 3 perfect invitations on a silver platter. They can ask about your past career goals, your current interest in tech, or your future business plans. The probability of silence is now 0. You are unghostable. So let's look back. We went from freezing in front of an investor to sparking a conversation, inventing a reason to talk, sharing deep opinions, building emotional connection, rescuing ourselves from panic, and making the conversation last forever. It was never about having a C2 vocabulary. It was about having A2 tools. My friend in Berlin wasn't better at German. He was better at talking. So now you have a choice. You can click off this video, go back to your flashcard apps, and hope that one day you'll feel ready to talk. Or you can take one of these frameworks, just one, the 3-2-1, and you can use it today on a language app, with a tutor, with your dog, Because fluency isn't an academic grade you achieve. It's a financial and social asset you build. And you now have the blueprints. Go build your future.